My team has made over 50,000 job applications and landed more than 3,000 interviews for senior tech leaders. And right now, we are landing around 500 interviews every single month, and we have placed more than 100 people into roles at companies most professionals only dream about: Google, Amazon, Meta, and now Anthropic, OpenAI, Stripe, Roblox, Databricks. And the biggest thing all that data has taught me is this: almost everything people tell you about getting a job at one of these companies is wrong. The hidden job market that everybody swears by, it is a myth. Out of those 3,000 interviews that we landed, not a single one came from a referral. Every one of them came from a public job posting, cold, with zero contacts on the inside. Tailoring your resume to every single role, that's the move that is costing you interviews. And I'll show you why in a minute. And firing applications into job boards and waiting for a recruiter to find you is the single biggest reason most qualified people stay stuck and never hear back. So if I wanted to land a tech job in 2026, this is a system I'd run step by step, the same one we run for our clients every single day. Let's get right into it. So step one, before you touch your resume, go collect at least 8 to 10 job descriptions that deeply match where you are at right now. And I do not mean just the same title, I mean the same scale, the same kind of problem, the same kind of environment that you are in. And so for example, you have been building a petabyte scale data platform for streaming systems. You don't go search any data engineering manager. You go find the roles that are asking for a petabyte scale data experience at companies that you want 8 to 10 of them. And then you do this for a reason. Once you have got 8 to 10 of those job descriptions in front of you, a theme starts to jump out, right? You start seeing the same few things called over and over again, the same priorities, the same language, and that theme, that pattern becomes the blueprint for your resume. It tells you exactly what to emphasize. This is the opposite of what most senior leaders do, and it's worth understanding the difference. The default move is to start from what you want to say. You sit down, you list out every single achievement that you're proud of, and you build the resume around that, which feels right, but it costs you because what you end up with is generic. It's not sharp for one profile where you genuinely stand out, so it reads like everyone else's resume. And that's interviews could be getting, but you're just not. When we do this for a client, the first thing we do is we go find the ideal roles in the market, the ones that fit into their industry, their tech stack, their scale, their environment that they have worked in. Because top tech companies aren't hiring somebody to learn on the job. They want proven experience. They want a specialist. So you have to know exactly which specialist you're presenting before you'll even write a single bullet on your resume. Step 2. Now you build your resume and your LinkedIn profile around those patterns you just found, not around what you think sounds impressive. On the resume, start every role with a clear charter. What were you brought in to this role to do? What were you recruited to own? Lead with that. Then back it up with bullets that lay out the problem, the action you took, and the results you achieved. So problem, action, result. Then give a crisp career summary up top on the first fold of the resume. 3 things: the industries that you have worked in, the scale of the problems that you have solved, and what you did exactly, right? And I mean specifically, did you build a data platform? Did you build a front-facing product? Did you run a major transformation? Did you scale something? Name it. Then pull out 3 or 4 major highlights of the career that line up with the role that you are going after next. Your LinkedIn profile mirrors that. Your header states your title, your function, one clear result you drive. Your bio covers your major achievement and the theme of your career, and that theme should point at your next role, not just describe your last one. Done right, your resume and your LinkedIn profile become the marketing material that positions you for one specific niche profile. Now the word niche makes people nervous. Everyone hears it and thinks that, like, oh, they are boxing themselves in, cutting off options, but the opposite is what actually happens. When you niche down, you get more interviews and you get them for the right roles. Go broad and you come across as jack of all trades for every single position that you're going after, and nobody at the top is hiring for that. The best companies and the best roles want a specialist, so niching down does not hide you. In fact, quite contrary, it makes it easier for the right people to find you. Step 3, watch the job market like a hawk. The good roles fill fast. There's so much competition right now that the strong postings do not sit around, and recruiters and hiring managers move quickly on them. So when you're early, you stand out because you are among the handful of the applicants instead of one of the 300. How early? Now, across all of the interviews we landed, the hit rate is highest when you apply within the first 24 to 48 hours of a role going up. Finding that role takes real time. That part's slow, but the second you find that role that fits you, you apply, and you do this daily, every single day, so the good roles do not slip past and while you are not looking. Step 4, and this is the one that most people people skip. Do not stop at applying. Every single job description points to a person, someone who has the strongest reason to want this role filled, and usually the most say in who gets hired. That's the hiring manager. And you can find them. You look at what team the role sits in, then what does that team do, how is it structured inside the company, inside the organization, and likely who are all the stakeholders. There's a ton of data in the LinkedIn profile of these people, these stakeholders that are already on that team, enough that you can work out, and it points you to the hiring manager with almost certainty. We are able to do that accurately for about 95% of the cases, and that is more than good enough. And once you've got that person, then you reach out across more than one channel, LinkedIn and email, ideally both. There are plenty of tools out there finding the email. I won't get into that. That part is easy. The hard part is what you say. So let me give you the skeleton I'd use. So line 1 names their problem. The first thing you say is, hey, I see you're hiring for such and such title to do X, right? So for example, I see you're hiring a data platform leader to build and scale a streaming data platform. That X is the core of the role, the thing that they need solved. Line 2 is how you actually solve it. So something like, hey, having spent the last few years at a scaling ad tech company, insert the name of the company here, of course, building exactly that, a data platform at petabyte scale, I'd be a precise fit. I'd been there and done that exact same thing, and that too a streaming data platform, right? Then you list out 2 to 3 highlights of the major work that ties straight to the role, and those can be the same bullets from your resume, and then you make the call to action easy. So you do not directly ask for their time. You say something like, hey, if this looks like a fit, then feel free to forward this to your recruiter and I'll work with them to get a call scheduled. And this becomes an easy yes. And leading with that problem instead of your credentials changes everything. Hiring managers want to hear from you if you are the right person. So when you open with the problem that they are trying to solve, you have clearly done that exact same thing because you understand their problem, right? Then they'll open your resume, they'll see further that you are in fact a fit, and a lot of the time they'll push to get the interview booked with you themselves. Now, not every single message will land an interview, and that's fine. You only have to win once in this entire journey of your job search. So you keep playing the game until you do. Now, why go to all of this trouble when you could just apply and hope? Because we tested it. We ran an A/B test across a huge set of jobs. One group, applications only, and then the other group was applications plus outreach. And the applications with outreach group converted 10 times the rate of applications alone. Now, as long as this is true for when you're genuinely a fit for the role, 10 times. That's why this step isn't optional. Now, before step 5, one thing, if you've been watching this and thinking like, hey, I don't have time to monitor every single job board, find every hiring manager and write this specific tailored message to every single one of those. If that's where your head is at, that's exactly the problem we solve at Wolf Mentoring. We run this entire system done for you. We position you, we build your resume, your profile, find the roles, apply to those roles, identify the hiring managers, reach out on your behalf to get you in the room. We take full ownership of your job search and we stay until you land an offer that you're happy with. So if that's what you want, head to wolfmentoring.com and book a call to speak with a team. Now, step 5 is simple, but people drop offers right here. Be available. Do not create friction around scheduling and your next interview. When a hiring manager wants to move, you move. Also do your basic prep ahead of time. Research the company, the role, where the hiring manager sits in the bigger org, and the simple question of how this team/role helps them either make more money or save money or stay compliant in the business, right? Keep your behavioral stories sharp and ready. Do that work in advance, and when an interview lands for tomorrow morning, say, you're ready instead of scrambling. Step 6, as you move through the rounds, you build your prep up stage by stage. Now, most senior searches run roughly through 5 of these stages. The recruiter is first, then the hiring manager, then the partners and peers, then skip level executives, and then often the people who would end up reporting to you. And one shift changes how all of these go. So you're not there to just be evaluated. You're qualifying them just as much as they are qualifying you. So you're going there as a problem solver, which means part of your job in that room is to figure out the exact problem they're trying to solve. The more you talk from that problem first angle, instead of sitting there and trying to sell yourself all the time, the better these conversations go. So definitely, of course, prep your answers, but also prep your questions. There are 5 questions that I'd always have ready, especially for the hiring manager. One is, what are you looking to either build, scale, or transform? These are basically one of the 3 activities that any senior leader would do, right? Second, where do you want to go from here? What does that target state look like? So have them explain to you in vivid detail. 3, where are you at right now in terms of people, process, technology? What do we not like about this situation, right? That creates creates the gap between the target state and the current state. Now 4, what are the biggest priorities right now, the big boulders that you could move to create momentum, and you set them already on the path towards the target state, right? And 5 is like, what does an ideal candidate look like in terms of skills, character traits, the experience that you're looking for, right? The other rounds shift angles a little bit. Generally speaking, the theme is this, but with partners and peers, for example, you want to be asking like, hey, what does a successful partnership look like, and what they need from you and your team to do their best work, right? How do you help them succeed? Now with skip level executives, you're asking more of the larger strategic questions, right? So where does your work fit in the bigger picture? Where does your department sit on their company's roadmap? What are you helping them achieve in the larger scheme of things, right? And with people who would report to you, you'd ask one thing that tells you the most. If you had a voice in leadership, what would you want fixed or solved right away? And they will talk to you about their pain, right? So walk in like that, problem first, asking those questions, and you stop being one more candidate getting grilled. You are the person who already gets what they need. And that's a completely different conversation that everyone is having. Now, let me show you what this looks like when someone actually runs it. So here is Parva, and he's a real client, by the way. This is his real name. He gave us an okay to share it. Now, before he came to us, Parva was barely landing any interviews. And the deeper problem was that he couldn't even find the right roles on his own. And then he was underselling himself, surprised that he would even qualify for VP level roles that we started landing him the interviews for, right? He wasn't reaching out to a single hiring manager, which, going back to step 4, was almost certainly why he wasn't landing any interviews, why his applications weren't converting, right? In his own words, he was feeling overwhelmed. Now, monitoring every company's job boards, tailoring his resume over and over again, just trying to keep applying. What he wanted was a system that got his resume in front of the hiring managers and recruiters for the right roles, the high-paying West Coast remote roles that he was after. Now, this is exactly what we built from him. We found his niche, which was data and AI platform engineering. We aligned his resume so that at a glance, the right person could see the 2 or 3 types of experiences they cared the most about, and nothing else got in the way. And one thing that helped us position him precisely, that in his space, the real problem that these companies were wrestling with is with getting their AI out of pilots into full production. So, for example, according to the leading reports from McKinsey, BCG, and Gartner, only a fraction of these AI initiatives scale that far. And the ones that stall on governance, they stall on data quality, and stall on leadership and alignment, right? And Parva had done all of that, right? Actually, he had done precisely the work. So we built his resume to speak straight to that problem, and then applied fast and went to the hiring managers directly. So where did he land? So he lands 15 interviews at companies like Anthropic, Netflix, PayPal, Roblox, Snowflake, etc., right? And he lands an offer for a VP of engineering at a scaling AI health tech company with more than $300,000 base, all within 2.5 months, start to finish. So same person, the thing that changed was the system, and it lines with the number I gave you at the start. Across all 3,000 of our interviews that we landed, not a single one came from referral. Every single one of them came from cold job posting that was available publicly. So if you have been waiting on a hidden job market to open a door for you, right, then this is your sign to stop waiting and go build the door for yourself. Now that is the system. Build the resume backward from 8 to 10 job descriptions, niche down hard, apply to the roles within first 24 to 48 hours, go straight to the hiring manager, stay ready, and walk in with every round with problem first approach. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. All of these get you the interview. It does not get you through the interviews, and the interview itself is where most candidates lose the offers because nobody prepped for them to what these group of individuals are actually testing. So that is the next thing you need. I made a full video on it. Go watch it on the next one, and where I break down exactly how to prep for these and pass these interviews once you have gotten them on your calendar. Getting the interview is only half the battle. This is the other half.